are in St. Michael's, Maryland. It's in the eastern shore. Eastern shore of Maryland is 200 miles long. It's a two-masted skipjack.
A little more seaworthy, a little more powerful for dredging. Sports car of the dredging, a little bit smaller crew.
That guy's, I'm up on the lighthouse out of the wind. The lighthouse that we're in used to be in the water.
Interestingly, it was not electrified till 1930. More interesting is what's up above.
This is for the stoves, coal.
As we've set it up,
Wash your clothes here in the kitchen sink, and here's where they hang out.
We'll go upstairs, and it is a spiral staircase, and it doesn't.
This is the bedroom.
Yes, this is over the water here, and they.
That's it, huh?
They would have that for a chamber pot for
Functioning boatyard here. It's a pretty nifty, multicolored sailboat. One mast, downspout to get water into various cisterns, but the water came off a copper roof that the seagulls like to rest on. So you know what was in the water. They did try to thing in it to try to make it safe to drink. This is what the lighthouse looked like. Here's the coal for heating and the kindling. Hey, at Hill's Brothers Coffee. There's some tomato juice. Oh, that's Campbell's soup. This is for oysters. We are February 1899. Snow fell, very cold, ice heavier, ice shaking house, no navigation because of ice, very bad.
Is all logs. It was built in 1909. And the interesting thing is this is a railway that actually can take a tree and can cut the planks. And this boat was built in 1920. A buy boat on the Chesapeake is a boat that would go out and it would then buy the catch that the fishermen have, hence the name. It's also a freight boat or a deck boat. And we have discovered after 103 years that her keel needed to be replaced. Have the curve of the log bottom, but you could actually do what we call cross planking. The planks above run fore and aft, the ones below come across, which means that it can be a pretty shallow boat. Take your log and you put it in here and you would soak it, and then you would take a heating device, in our case it's going to be propane, and heat it up, and as you do, you create this weighted box and it will slightly twist it. And when you got what you think is the right twist, you take it off. In order to keep the crab population under control, they required that everybody who was out dredging, where you get oodles of oysters at a time, that they do it under sail. When engines were developed, in order to get out to the fishing grounds, they would have a boat that they hung on the davits, and it would be lowered and notched behind the boat, and it would push it out under power. And this little boat, those are both push boats, and they're not for people, they are just an engine inside it. So they get the boat from the bow and the stern and from the side and above, and it's drawn exactly to the right measurements. And when you do it, you are then able to cut out a pattern and then take that pattern and go put it up against a tree, say, and say, oh, we can cut out this section, this will work. Up here, at one point, we built a Dove, the Dove, which was a 40-ton vessel. One of the two that brought people here from Europe. Way to go to St. Mary City. The Dove was the smaller of two vessels. She was 40 tons, and shipwrights that were working on her, we had no information other than the date she was built and that she was a 40-ton vessel. So we sent them to Sweden and the Netherlands to study 17th century shipbuilding. They then came back and worked with a naval architect to create the Dove that we were going to build. And here she is when she finally sailed away. This is.
They got a boat donation program, like car donation, I guess. Here is oystering on the Chesapeake. The Chesapeake Bay is the greatest oyster factory on earth.
And the oystering is always done in the winter because in the summer is when your oysters reproduce. A number of ways of bringing them in. One is tonging. Right here is a tong. And you can see it has a long shaft. And the shaft is like a scissor. They have to stand on the edge of their small boat. They lower down the tong till it touches the bottom. So you have to be in fairly shallow water. You prefer to be on an actual skipjack. We brought it in here, cut off the top of our mast as an exhibit so you can actually get up and walk around on the oysters. So when the oysters get up there, the man is now standing on top of it. He has nothing to hold on to. This is not an easy job, nor is tonging an easy job. I mean, and it's all done in the dead of winter. The buy boat would come by and they would buy all the oysters on board and give cash to the captain.
Farmed oysters can't reproduce, so you can get them year-round. Newer way of getting oysters, just put this down and drag it and collect them.
And he's culling and he's doing the whole thing all by himself. He's in a small boat, dead of winter, he's dressed heavy clothes, and he's out alone. Now the next one is a two-man operation in a dead rise boat. One man's doing the tonging, the other man is doing the culling for. And the third one is diving. The advantage of diving in the olden days was that you could see what you were getting. You picked one up and, oh, this is a good size, and put it in a basket. Of it on the Chesapeake Bay, trying to keep the bay
One oyster can clean that much water
Isn't
a
that?
day.
Yeah, one day. Oysters clutch and they grow on top of each other, form a bar. An oyster, when it's larvae, it develops this little foot that searches for something hard to clutch to. And this is all.
They made these boxes themselves to keep their feet out of the liquid that they were getting off the oysters. And
this is an actual frame for this boat. And a lot of them are built upside down until they get the bottom and the planking on the side, and then they turn them over before they finish.
oh, this a work boat. I don't think I'd want to be out on the bay working with a boat that size. Shows the first rough cut on these tree trunks, and that's a little more finished on the top. We're on the Miles River. It carries fresh water to the Chesapeake Bay. The Chesapeake Bay is the nation's largest estuary, containing 11,684 miles of shoreline. The watershed includes parts of 6 states, home to 17 million people, and several major cities. It shows Baltimore, Washington, D.C., and where we are over here in St. Michael's. Pound net skiff. Again, they're netting a large fish trap, 6 to 8 men, 3-log canoe. They used it for oystering. It's a 5-log Tillman canoe. 60. This is the last of 68 log canoes built by some man here. This was 1893. I haven't seen every boat in this bay, but every one of these is from Maryland, mostly from Annapolis. And right here, the Magic Bus. We got all sorts of fancy gear on board that boat.